does risk having it all exposed. What do you think might be out there?
Well, Donald Trump has already had 2 income tax fraud trials by the state of New York and the city of New York. They were civil fraud, not criminal fraud. The New York Times in October of 2018, in this brilliant project on Trump's taxes, based on records we now know came from his niece, Mary Trump, said without question that he and his sibling are major league tax cheats. What the district attorney is seeking are the business records, accounting records, and banking records back to 2011. So this isn't just about Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. And if those records deviate significantly from what Donald Trump put on his tax returns, I fully expect the grand jury will indict Donald Trump for criminal tax fraud. How quickly that will come is going to depend on how successful Trump's lawyers are in delaying and using procedure and interlocutory appeals if they don't like the federal judge overseeing the case's rulings.
So, I mean, and just to clarify, Donald Trump's immunity from prosecution, it ends on January 20, 2021 if he doesn't win, right? And that even if the let's say Biden wins and he has an administration and he is very averse to the idea of prosecuting a former president, that doesn't have anything to do with Cy Vance, right? That has nothing to do with New York State.
That's right. And let's assume that Donald Trump has the audacity to resign as president on the morning of January 20th, have Mike Pence sworn in, and Pence then pardons Donald Trump, because Trump can't pardon himself. The Justice Department's clear about that. The Supreme Court would not let that stand. The state charges are completely different. The only involvement of the federal government here is that Donald Trump, in challenging the state prosecutors, chose to seek his remedies in federal court. And the judge in that case has already indicated he wants to operate with speed. There's a hearing this coming Thursday on the procedural issues that the Supreme Court sent back down for further review. Right. Donald Trump's going to be indicted if the business records do not match up, and they won't match up. Trust me, I've got lots of his records. They're not going to match up to his tax return.
Wow, so it could be very interesting for him post-presidency. Dean, here is the other piece of this scandal, because Donald Trump has corrupted so much of the government, it's almost hard to keep track of it. This is about the ousted U.S. attorney who investigated Donald Trump's associates. And this is Mr. Berman, who said that William Barr pushed him to resign and take another job. And he said this in a statement. The attorney general said that if I did not resign from my position, I would be fired. He added that getting fired from my job would not be good for my resume or future job prospects. I told him that while I did not want to get fired, I would not resign. And I want to also let you listen to Gerald Nadler, Congressman Gerald Nadler, talking about the B word, bribery, this week.
The Attorney General repeatedly attempted to entice Mr. Berman to step down voluntarily, even after Berman made clear that his leaving would disrupt certain sensitive cases. We don't know yet if the Attorney General's conduct is criminal, but that kind of quid pro quo gets awfully close to bribery.
Right, treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. That's what you get impeached for. Could you foresee, Elie Mystal couldn't foresee it, but could you, Dean, foresee a second impeachment based on potential bribery or an impeachment of William Barr?
First of all, Joy, can I just say congratulations on your new show? And it's so amazing. You so earned it, and it's going to be wildly popular. Secondly, I've talked to numerous members of Congress on my radio show. None of them have the appetite for impeachment again. I've got to be honest with you. They don't do it. We are going to impeach Donald Trump and remove him. November 3rd, we have our impeachment trial. When we get rid of him, January 20th, he gets removed. That's the key to all of this. And Joy, about the case that you were discussing there with David, we just had the Supreme Court decide on Thursday Donald Trump is not a king, despite his lawyers arguing that, literally arguing he's an absolute immunity. What does Trump do the very next night? He undermines our criminal justice system by, in essence, exonerating Roger Stone, who's convicted of 7 felonies by a jury. So Donald Trump has learned no lesson from any of this. Donald Trump still thinks he's a king. He's still a danger to our republic. You had Kylie McEnany on the day after the decision going, Donald Trump still believes he has absolute immunity. And there's a reason why I call her Baghdad Barbie for Baghdad Bob from Saddam Hussein's administration. So it's just a lying mouthpiece. Trump and Bill Barr are a dangerous combination. They will do anything. I just watched Anthony Scaramucci say, think like Trump. I'm sorry, I'm not a sociopath. I can't. Maybe we had a Hannibal Lecter of politics we can talk to tell us what Trump would do. We would know that. But Donald Trump will use any means legal, and that means Bill Barr investigating and potentially criminally investigating Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and potentially charging him or indicting him if he can. And we have to be ready for that.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this really quickly before I let you go, Dean. You talk to a lot of people on your radio show. You happen to get a lot of calls from left, right, et cetera. You know, the fact that the two Supreme Court justices who Donald Trump put on the court ruled against him on these tax matters, even if they just told the Congress, you have to rewrite it, you have to, tweak the way that you're making these requests. They didn't say they can't have them, and they certainly opened the door for Cy Vance to have them. Right. Does that undercut Donald Trump's argument with some of his base? How do they justify that? Or are they sold because they got a contraceptive gimme? Because, there's always a do something good, do something horrible thing. Are they sold by that alone?
I don't think Trump's base is going to move much on Supreme Court decisions. And frankly, us not getting the tax returns before Election Day is not going to move many people. I don't think there's people out there going, I'm really torn on Trump. If I just had his tax returns, I could know which way I'm going to vote. That's not happening. We actually don't. Most people, no one's out there going, I just had his financial documents. I could finally make an informed decision on this guy. I'm really torn. But the fact that Gorsuch and Kavanaugh did this against Trump, to me, gives me more confidence that if Trump, after the election, says it's rigged, I got to stay in power, they're not going to stay in there with him.
Yeah, and that if he somehow managed to get back in, it's not as if his life in the next administration would be good, because the investigations would begin immediately. Dean Obeidallah, whose reading tastes I fully endorse. I see that book behind you. I totally endorse that. David Cay Johnston, thank you guys very much. Really appreciate both of you.